Good morning and welcome to Coaches Go Social. I'm so excited that you're here with me today. Hello, if you're watching us from Facebook, from LinkedIn Live, or from YouTube, make sure you say hello. Let me know that you're here. This is going to be an awesome show and you are not going to want to miss it. And thank you for watching the replay if you're here, because you'll definitely want to stick around. So I truly believe that entrepreneurship is the ultimate journey in personal development, and relationships are a core part of that, right? You have your business, you're super passionate about your business, and then you have all the other things in your life that you want to make that awesome balance. And the guest that I have today, I can't say sorry, Marie Elizabeth Malley. I'm just so excited. That's what happens. I get all tongue twisted when I get super excited. Marie Elizabeth Malley, she is a relationship alchemist, and she is going to share with us how to enrich your life with more love and joy while running your business, while taking care of yourself. All these things are super important to integrate into your life to have a successful business, to have a successful and loving life. And all those things work together. Marie Elizabeth, she helps high achieving women deepen love and their connection to relationships with themselves and with others so they can maintain peak performance fueled by love and joy. I love this. You can't help but love this so much. So if you're watching right now, make sure to say hi in the comments so we know that you're here. And I'm going to bring on Marie in just a second. But before I do that, I'm going to share with you what we are going to talk about the emotions regards to getting upset or stressed and how you can come back and get centered with love. And, stress is a big part of, unfortunately, our lives right now, where we're kind of just like managing it. But how would you like to just kind of take it to the next level and really embrace these relationships and embrace these moments where you can push the stress aside and really make decisions based on love? That's what we're going to talk about today. And just understanding each other's stress styles and your relationship. It's really, really important to have that enriched relationship to make all areas of your life work. And, like I said, with entrepreneurship, we're like business. We want to do all these things. We want to make it happen. And, we have to balance that with the relationships that we have in our lives. And because it's February, and because I always like to celebrate love in the month of February, this self-love is the most important thing you can have with a relationship. The relationship that you have with yourself is the most important one, I really think. And that transcends to all areas of your life. So I really can't wait to talk more about this too. And if you're watching my shows, you've been watching my shows for a while now, and you're listening in, you're hearing all these amazing guests, you're like, what does Amy do anyway? She just interviews all these people. Well, I will tell you what I do. Actually, what I do is this right here. This is me. This is how I help you create your own show, your own stage, be the host of your own show, so you can build relationships with strategic partners, you can attract your ideal clients, and you can create community by using the power of Facebook Live video. And I have a course coming up. The next enrollment is in March. So if you're interested in joining me there, it's a small group. So reach out to me and make sure that you reserve your spot, because I would love to talk to you more about it and see if it's a good fit for you. So all that aside, I'm going to bring on Marie Elizabeth in just a second, but I want to share with you the sponsor, of course. Wave.video sponsors Coaches Go Social, and it is one of the easiest tools that I found to edit video. You can even make those little video clips like I'll do after this show. I also create little clips of the video, and then I will import captions, and Wave.video does all of that within the tool itself. And I'm going to show you my intro video that has you'll see, it's really fun. That's been created. I've created it through Wave.video, and it's super, super awesome. So if you haven't tried it out, make sure you do. The link is in the comments here. And also, last but not least, we need more networking opportunities, and we need to connect with each other. And that's why at the end of each of my Coaches Go Social shows, I open up a Facebook Messenger chat room, and we all get together face to face to have a conversation, a quick conversation to connect further in opportunities that we have less of right now. And I can't wait to chat with you during the live show. Then we can hop over into the Facebook Messenger chat, and then we'll connect over there. So I'm going to show you my intro video, and then I'm going to bring on Marie Elizabeth, and I cannot wait for this conversation. It's going to be so fun. Hello, hello.
Whoa, that was super cool. I enjoyed.
Oh, thanks. I know the music gets me all excited. Ooh, I'm so excited. I'm very excited for you to be here. If you couldn't notice already, I start talking super fast. I'm like, ooh, slow down,
So
slow down.
sweet. Well, I loved your introduction. Thank you. And I especially love that you highlighted the personal growth aspect of entrepreneurship because I include relationship in that too. I believe relationship is one of the most powerful ways that we have to grow and to see ourselves and to mirror back what's working, what's not working. And it serves us as entrepreneurs to approach our relationships that way.
Definitely. Absolutely. Yes. It all comes together, whether you like it or not, starting a business, you're gonna look, it's all gonna look within and everything's
They
gonna
got to
come
your
out.
stuff.
Exactly. It's all gonna be there. I know Mary Fabrant's here with us, and I know that she knows exactly what I'm talking about. She's joining us. Attitude makes all the difference. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. And Patty's
Oh,
here too. So if you're here, make sure to comment. Let us know that you're here. We're super excited to have this conversation and
welcome.
yeah, talk about really what the what's love got to do with it? I don't put love's just popping all these little things
Everything.
popping. It's got everything to do with business and with ourselves and especially, self-love. I think we are the most important relationship we have with ourselves that transcends through everything. So before we get into it, I want to talk a little bit about you and how you got started, number one. Number two, I want you to describe how meaningful that photo is behind you with the giant whale. I love,
Oh,
yeah, so
thank
pretty.
you. Yeah, well, I've been working with clients for over 20 years, and I began working primarily in the health arena. I was a massage therapist and then a licensed acupuncturist. And over time, I found, well, there are two things. Over time, I found that relationships are so central to our health that I naturally began to pivot my interests there. But personally, I've been someone who always loved my work, always had a ton of flow there, and my relationships just weren't as easy. So after my divorce 8 years ago, 9 years ago, I embarked on a deep study of relationship dynamics, what makes me tick, what makes us tick, what has relationships work well, communication, sexuality, all the aspects of relationship, and then I started bringing that to my clients because, like I said, it's so core to our health and well-being that I decided to focus my energy there. Oh, and
That's
this picture I took
yes,
in Tonga. I love that your work is called Ocean, right? The Ocean Method. Is it
yes,
the Ocean Method?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, because the ocean is very important to me. I've been doing underwater photography for 15 years, something like that, maybe 20. And there's just nothing like swimming next to a
It's
humpback
amazing.
whale. They're so beautiful. So I keep this nearby as a reminder, and it's a mom and a baby. So it's all about relationship.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much. Yes, the ocean has a very big part of my life, and that's all in my business and my branding. Thinking about the ocean like it's huge, and people think, you even just going on the edge, you're at the beach and you look at the ocean, it's just like endless. And people think about, when you're looking at social media, and you're like, how do I incorporate this into my business? They're like, there's like so much, it's everywhere, it never ends. Like, where do I even start? So my ocean method is specifically about simplifying the process of creating content. You see all this content out there. It's not just, like there's a million things. There's really like 5 categories of content that you can incorporate. That's what it boils down to. And that's how to keep it simple. I really like
Yeah.
that they keep things simple. So I love, and we have Stefan, he's here. Oceans on the left, oceans on the right. Yeah, we are like all about
Oh,
the
thank you,
ocean.
Stefan. Thank you so
He's
much.
a
Yeah.
photographer. He really
Oh,
appreciates
okay.
photography. So
Yeah, it actually got honorable mention in a contest.
oh, it's really,
I'm pretty
really
proud of
pretty.
that one. Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yay. It's cool. So yes, half the oceans in common. You're in Orange County,
I'm
right?
in LA. I'm in LA.
LA. Yeah. And I'm
Mhm.
in San Diego. So yeah, we're definitely
Yeah.
drawn to the water. So
Glued to the coast.
exactly. This is where I belong for sure. Yay. So let's jump into this awesome conversation. I cannot wait. I've known you for a while. We've known each other for a few years, actually. And this is like one of the first opportunities I've had to really like dig into, get to know what you do and hear from you directly about it. So I'm super, super excited. So talking about emotions, and like when we get upset and stressed, and like I know specifically, when you're as an entrepreneur, like you'll get stressed and like upset about something in your business, and then it's just like, oh, it's over here too, it's all over. Like, how do
Yes.
we, when that happens, how do we like wrangle ourselves in? What do you suggest that we do to bring ourselves back into being centered and really to respond with love?
Well, I would say the number one skill to learn is how to self-regulate. And this serves us both in our business and at home. It really is necessary for leadership. And what I mean by self-regulation, there's two types. One is physical. And an example of, you already know how to do this. Like if you've ever gone to the gym when you didn't feel like it, but you made yourself do it because your goal was more important than your momentary feeling, that's physical self-regulation. And emotional self-regulation, you also know how to do this. If you've ever calmed yourself down when you've been angry, you've taken a minute and stepped away and breathed, or just, maybe danced it out or punched a pillow, whatever you did, but you shifted how you felt, that's emotional self-regulation. And that is key as entrepreneurs, but also as people in relationship, because people are going to do stuff that bugs you. Like it just happens, and you're going to get stressed out because technology isn't working one day, or a client doesn't show up on time, or you put something out and it fell flat. Whatever the stressor is, the thing to focus on is, how do I take care of myself here? Instead of staying in the feeling that I'm having right now, how do I honor it? Recognize, okay, I've been triggered, or I feel hit emotionally, or I feel flooded. Sometimes we get flooded where, with me, it's kind of a sensation when I start to get angry. I can feel, okay, I'm a little frustrated or angry, but then there's a moment where it's like the pilot light gets lit and whoosh, it's a flame. I don't know about you, but it feels like that in my body. So when I start to feel that bonfire inside, that's my cue to step back, pause. I teach people to insert a pause into the conversation, request a timeout, go to the bathroom, like just get yourself a little space any way you can, and tend to yourself. And there are a few ways I suggest that you do that. One, you could breathe, exhale longer than your inhale. Just that simple breathing pattern where you a little longer than your inhale begins to shift your system from sympathetic back into parasympathetic, relax mode. There are other breathing exercises. If you want to know about them, just reach out to me. There are other breathing exercises that you can do that are for bigger, if you need something a little heavier hitting than this. But this is something you can just do right on the fly, and nobody needs to know you're doing a breathing exercise. You just extend your exhale, dancing it out to a favorite song, taking a walk, touching the ground in nature. If you're near a park or the beach, get your feet on the ground. What's something else? You could journal. You could journal about what's upsetting you and release it. Tear up the paper, burn up the paper. There are many, many ways to bring yourself back to yourself when you've been knocked off center.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think recognizing, you tell me, it's recognizing like how important it is to recognize like this is the emotion you're feeling right now, and then do something about it to where it doesn't overcome you, right? Like that's
exactly
like the key. Yeah.
That's the key. And the way you do that is by practicing when you're not upset, practicing having some kind of connection to your body. What that looks like perhaps is meditation, sitting for 10 minutes and just feeling what your body feels like. Where do you have tension? Where does it feel open? How's your breath? Can you breathe deeply? Is your breath shallow? Approach your body like a scientist and get curious and research how you feel when you're not upset. And that will help build in a steadiness of attention that will serve you when you get upset, because then you'll notice, whoa, something's changing in here. This doesn't feel like I usually, you'll notice it, because when you don't have a habit of paying attention, the emotions are already off and running and you don't even catch it, right? Because you're not used to staying tuned into yourself. But staying tuned into yourself is key as an entrepreneur. Having a sales call, you got to feel what's happening in you so you can feel your client. That's how you create connection, right? It's key for relating with your partner. It's key as a mom. You got to stay connected with yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm curious to know who's watching right now, if they're, Mary and Patty and Steph and Andrew. What do you guys do when you're in the situation where you're like, I'm getting upset. What do I do? Like, I'd love to know, we've all had those experiences. Like everyone, it's very different, right? Like everyone has their own way of figuring out what's going to work for them to get them out of that state. So I'm curious to know if they have what everyone else has.
Yeah, I just suggested some ways that work for folks, and definitely you want to find your own way. But the key is to insert that pause, because, and here I want to say a thing about those of us that have sort of hyperactive nervous systems that get riled up a lot. You don't want to shame that about yourself. You have the nervous system that you have. It's just encoded the way it was encoded. And so don't waste time beating yourself up for getting mad, or beating yourself up for getting stressed out, or beating yourself up for getting overwhelmed. It's just what it is. But what you can begin to do is notice it more quickly and insert a gap and actually choose a new response. So that's where the agency comes in. Your nervous system might still fire automatically, because that's just what it does. Over time, that can change with deliberate practice. I teach this to my clients, how to shift their nervous system for better performance and better relationships, so they're not blowing things up all the time. But you can accept the hand you've been dealt, but you don't have to stay there. You can build a gap and learn how to choose a more effective response.
Right. It's all about the personal development and the growth to move us forward, and how we can improve ourselves. And improving ourselves relationships start with improving ourselves, and then being able to incorporate that, as we improve our own relationship with ourselves, how that transcends into other relationships. So how do you understand, how do you figure out with a partner, like what their stress style is, and how to make that a real, a key to success for long-term harmony? I'm interested to know.
Yeah, this is so key. I love talking about stress styles because when the pandemic hit almost a year ago, I noticed people just freaking out. All of a sudden you're home. Maybe one partner who worked outside the house is now in the house with you if you already worked at home. All the dynamics changed, and the space that couples used to have from one another disappeared for many of them. And then they're also homeschooling, a lot of them too. So it's just so many additional stressors. And if you don't know what your typical response is to stress, and you don't know your partner's typical response to stress, then it just creates a field that's ripe for discord and fighting. So I'm going to give you an example. This is best illustrated through a story. When I get stressed out and I start to go into overwhelm, I start to nitpick and get critical of my partner. For example, we'll be back when we could travel, we'd be packing for a trip, and all of a sudden I'd be like, I thought we did all the dishes. How come there's a glass in the sink? And can't you just pack your clothes? Why are they all over the room? I start picking at him. And clearly that was not, that didn't feel good. It didn't make us leave for a trip feeling great together, right? So we started to understand, the second piece is his stress style. When he gets stressed out, he gets slower and more deliberate. So I speed up. I want to get more done, finish it, move, let's go, let's get it done. And he gets slow because he doesn't want to make a mistake. He's an engineer by trade, by background. And so he gets slow and deliberate and starts choosing his actions very carefully. And as you can see, like those two stress styles, like we're going to clash. Like I'm speeding up, he's slowing down. So before we understood that about ourselves, we were mystified as to why we kept getting into these arguments before we'd leave town. And once we realized, it's our stress styles that are coming up against each other. It's not that anything is wrong with either one of us. We each were able to both take responsibility for our own stress styles, but also support one another. In other words, If I noticed myself speeding up and getting overwhelmed, I started to ask for help. But if he noticed me speeding up and getting overwhelmed and starting to pick at him, he would pause and say, hey, are you overwhelmed? How you doing? Can I take anything off your plate? So he was able to give me the support I needed if I didn't catch it first. And with his slowing down, sometimes he catches it first and he can say, oh, I notice I'm slowing down. I'm getting stressed out. Let's just take a minute and figure out what's going on so that I can come back up to speed. Or if I notice him slowing down before he does, I can say, hey, I notice that you're starting to get super deliberate. How are you doing? Are you stressed out? So in this way, we're caring for one another in a moment that otherwise we might have gone into judgment. Does that make sense?
Totally. I know Patty can relate with this. She has a method. She's saying that breathe and pause, like you said, recognize where you're at and acknowledge the trigger, and then take action. Do one thing. Like that helps
I love
move
that.
forward for sure. Yeah.
I always say that's the antidote for overwhelm, is to ask yourself, you get into overwhelm when you're looking at the whole picture. When you're looking at the ocean, it's overwhelming, right? But the antidote to that is to ask yourself, what is the one next right thing? Yeah. The one next right thing I can do, and just do that. And then that one thing you do will show you the next thing, and then the next and the next. And in that way, you stay paced with what you're actually able to do, and you get your attention off the things that are overwhelming.
Yeah, moving yourself forward. Exactly. Yes. The ultimate, the most important relationship is the one that we have with ourselves.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I can't stress
we
that
have
enough.
to tend to that little one. We do.
Yeah. So true. Yes. Thanks, Patty. I love all your comments.
Thank you, Patty.
It's awesome.
So great.
Yes. So it's awesome. It sounds like you and your partner have been able to figure out each other's, way that you handle stress, and you like proactively recognize that, right? To be able to help each other
exactly
proactively, which is awesome. But if you're not there yet and you're like, I just need to tell the person when I need help, how do we clearly communicate that to make it to where you do get what you need?
Great question. So it can be hard to ask for help. Like if you're someone like me who is trained to be independent and do everything yourself and be super competent, it can be hard to A, recognize you even need help, and B, then ask for it, because it's sort of encoded somehow as a failure that you have to ask. And then there's a little sneaky part of us that kind of wants other people to know what we want and need without having to say anything. Who doesn't want their partner to be a mind reader, right? But you don't set your partner up for success with that kind of mindset. When you expect them to be a mind reader, it's just not a winning game. And I'm about helping couples win. So I'm going to share, I have kind of a 3 to 4 step process for how to make requests that A, feel good to both you and the other person, and B, tend to get acted on with pleasure. Is this a good spot for that?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. So the first thing to notice is I'm getting stressed out, I'm getting overwhelmed. Now, when you want to make a request, I suggest you do this first step when you don't want to make a request, when you're just getting curious about yourself. Think about and journal about, what's your history around making requests? What did you notice in your household? Did one of your parents tend to complain and criticize to get what they wanted? Did one of your parents sort of demand things instead of making requests? A demand is something that feels bad to say no to. It's a demand energetically feels like, if you don't do this, I'm going to punish you in some emotional way, right? That's a demand. That's actually not a request. A request is a clean ask for something, and the person feels the freedom to say yes or no. So the first thing is to understand, what's your history around requests? Are they hard for you? Are they easy? Do you have difficulty in feeling like you deserve to ask for what you want? Do you feel like you're supposed to do it yourself to be a good feminist? Any of these things, right? So the first thing, offline, just understand more about where you're coming from. The second piece offline, before you even make the request, is to clear out any resentment you might have around things you've asked for that haven't happened. So maybe in your relationship, you've habitually asked your partner to take out the trash and they always forget. So before you ask them to take out the trash next time, you're going to need to clear the 150,000 other times that they didn't do it out of your system so that there isn't charge.
Yeah.
And you can ask cleanly, because part of what has a request get heard with pleasure is that it feels clean. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit of pre-work you need to do around request. Now, coming to the request itself, the steps are, number one, ask if it's a good time. Because if you're coming on your part, so for example, Patrick, my partner, he has trouble sort of doing more than one thing at a time. So if he's cooking or if he's driving, it's not a great time to ask him for something because he'll forget. Or he has to stop what he's doing, which is hard if we're in a moving car. He has to stop what he's doing to think clearly about the thing I've asked, right? So again, this is about setting him up to win and me up to win because I get what I want, right? So it's a win-win. So number one, ask if it's a good time. And they may say, yeah. You say, hey, I have something to ask you, or hey, I have a request. Is this a good time? And they can either say yes, maybe, no, not now, any of those responses. If you get a no or a maybe or a not now, you can say, great. When might be good for you, right? So like it's not unlike sales call, but it's like when might work for you, right? So then you set up a time. So in this way, you are asking for your partner's full attention, which you deserve, and they would love to give it to you if you're not interrupting something that's important to them, right? So it's really, again, about a win-win. So now you're at the point where you're ready to ask for the request. Ask for it in as few words as possible, because something else I notice about especially those of us who have trouble asking is we'll tend to pad it with all sorts of explanations about why we can't do it. For example, hey, would you get me a glass of water because the dog's on my lap and my back really hurts and I've got my feet up and I'm just so tired from the day. Like, would you get me a glass of water? Can you hear how that just doesn't feel great? Yeah. First of all, it doesn't feel great. Second, because here's what happens. The person listening to your request doesn't know whether to tend to all this crappy stuff that doesn't feel good. They don't know whether to tend to your emotion or whether to do the thing. And in that moment of confusion, they'll forget. So again, to set each other up to win, make it as simple as possible. Hey, would you get me a glass of water, please? Hey, would you pick up milk when you're passing by the store today? Hey, would you walk the dog? Maybe you could say like, hey, I'm engrossed in something. Would you walk the dog? But it doesn't need to be a litany, because a litany actually obscures the request and makes it forgettable. And it also makes it not feel good. So to recap, do a little self-searching about how you've handled requests in the past and how they were modeled for you and your family and what you might need to improve. Clear resentment. Ask if it's a good time and make the request in as few words as possible. And then thank the heck out of them when they do it. Because people want to win with you. So if someone actually follows through and does the thing you've asked for, reward them. Show your appreciation, thank them, and it will set up a dynamic where they're delighted to do things for you because it feels good and they want to do it again and they want to win.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I think specifically what I got out of it is that, I like to do this in all areas of my life, but I think specifically with relationships, especially when you're kind of riled up about something, is remember that always assume positive intent, right? Everyone wants to help. Of course, your partner wants to help you. Of course, they want to take care of you and, whatever that you need. However, it gets clouded up by like all this like other stuff that can
Yeah.
kind of get in the way. So remembering that it's super important to remember to know that, just assume everyone, they want to help, just make it easy for them to do that. Like you said, be clear and direct, have the good timing, and they're not distracted to allow them to succeed.
Yeah. And I love what you brought up about assuming positive intent, because I have another thing that I teach, which is to come from the assumption that you're on the same team. We don't always assume that we're on the same team, especially when we get into an argument. It very much feels like we're not on the same team in that moment. But if you can remember somewhere in the back of your mind, I love this person, they love me, we are on the same team. I have my clients name their teams. Patrick and my team, our name is Team Love Bomb. So we'll be fighting, and one of us will stop and go, wait, Team Love Bomb, which is our shorthand for, if we were to approach this issue, because you don't want to say all this stuff in a fight, right? But Team Love Bomb is the shorthand for, if we were to approach this thing we're arguing about from the perspective of being on the same team, how would that shift how we're looking at it? How would we look at it then? Like, it opens a door to possibility of seeing the thing we're arguing about from a new perspective. If we both were on the same team about it, it just opens the door to a new view.
Yeah, that's really good. I think everybody needs your support and needs your advice, no matter if they think they're in a, maybe a difficult spot or not. I think it's awesome to be proactive about, your relationship, because it, transcends everything to do with your life, for sure. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
This is so great.
Yeah, I agree. And it's also, it makes us much more, when we're filled up and juiced up at home, it makes us so much more radiant at work. I think that's one thing, especially as women, that we sometimes forget, is what is most powerful about us is our magnetic power, more than our ability to push and strive.
Yeah.
And the way you build magnetism is by filling your cup, by engaging in self-care, by having a wonderful relationship, by really taking the time to fill yourself up.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, especially now.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad that you're here to join me. And you have a few more minutes after the show. We're going to hop into a little video chat for a few minutes with any of the viewers that would like to join us, and just connect a little further and chat like we aren't able to do as much as we would like anymore. And that link is in the comments. So make sure to hop over there and join us. And also, don't forget, I've added Marie Elizabeth's quiz here, the Relationship Alchemy quiz.com. Make sure you visit there and check out what she has to offer, because she's amazing. And this conversation was amazing. And although I was really excited at the beginning, I feel even more excited now. I don't even know how that's possible. I'm like,
I love that.
Excited and all relaxed, and this is such a great conversation. So thank you so much for joining me on Coaches Go Social, and we're gonna go hop over to chat a little bit more. If you have the opportunity, I'd really love to see you there. So thank you so much. See you in a couple of weeks, where we're going to continue to talk about relationships and self-love and all the good stuff, in 2 weeks from today. So we'll see you then. Bye.